and welcome back to Falcon Update live on YBTV.
We haven't been live since before spring break. We hope everyone enjoyed their time off, and we are glad to be back.
Riley Williams is live in Boyer to give us an update on the Middle States evaluation Messiah University received. Riley?
Thanks, guys. This week, Messiah was visited by a Middle States team of professors in order to complete the accreditation evaluation for the school. Messiah posted a self-study that was used to determine the accuracy of the report by the professors. The evaluators held a meeting in the campus admissions building Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. that was open to staff and students to discuss the shortcomings of the school as well as things that the school does well. On Thursday, President Kim Phipps released a statement regarding the results of the assessment, stating that the team had no recommendations or requirements for a follow-up, and that a final determination from the Commission on Reaffirmation of our accreditation will be received by the end of July 2023. For YBTV, I'm Riley Williams.
That was great. Thanks, Riley. The Korean Professional Development Center teamed up with the Multicultural Council to hold an MCC alumni panel. Kelly Gainey has a story.
The Alumni of Color panel was a collaboration between the Multicultural Council and the Career Development Office. And that was just a way for us to really kind of, as multicultural students, really get to get a perspective outlook on what the job field will offer for us after we graduate. Because while advocacy is very enriching here, a lot of people's concerns were what happens afterwards. And that's kind of like what the spirit of the event was. And that's something that we've been doing for a long time now.
So the purpose of the Alumni of Color panel discussion was to make it easier and more personable for students of color to network, to ask questions about going into the job field.
So being able to have Michelle come, I think, was super beneficial, just because with graduating as an international student, like, that's hard of being like, hey, like, am I going to go home or am I going to stay here? Is someone going to sponsor me? So just having her to talk about her experience of like getting sponsored and then also being able to share that with different international students last night was super cool.
After the panel, students met outside to continue networking over some snacks.
Meeting the alumni actually gives us a sense of hope that we are not just meant to be a quota, that we are fulfilling our stories, our narratives that God gave for us.
As we've learned about the needs of multicultural students, we've learned that what they want is to make connections with alumni and people outside of Messiah. Even though it's still kind of coming from the Messiah bubble, it's still extending out.
Reporting for YBTV, I'm Kelly Gainey.
The library was not so quiet this weekend. Brandon Cruz gives us a story on mini golf in the stacks. Brandon?
Last Friday night, the bottom level of Murray Library was transformed into a makeshift mini-golf course for mini golf in the stacks. First taking place a few years ago, Kimberly Steiner initially helped come up with the idea of playing mini golf throughout Murray Library.
So we started in, I believe it was the spring of 2016, and I kind of thought that it would be great if we could partner with different organizations across campus to have a fun activity for students. And I thought mini golf would be really fun. It's something we've never done here before, and so and I thought we have a great library to play mini golf in. So, and it's an exciting way for students to interact in the library.
It also serves as a way for them to learn about the different clubs, organizations, and departments around campus.
Yeah, so we feel like as the library, we want to be engaged on campus, and being able to partner with different organizations and clubs is just a great opportunity to be able to be more involved around campus in general.
Each of the 18 holes was made by a different organization in the Messiah community, and volunteers from the organizations always look forward to this event.
I think we enjoy the students. We enjoy the time getting to know the students in a fun way, because obviously the drunk goggles and the goofy golf help them to, we can kind of connect, and it also just gives us an opportunity to talk one-on-one with them.
This event has become a staple at Messiah, and for good reason. Students get to learn about the Messiah community through playing mini golf, all while having some competitive fun.
Well, if I'm being honest, I do like golf. Not a great amount, but it's a good time with all the friends, and if I win, that's even better. But some free snacks too, never really hurts, and it's good to work on the on the A, I would say.
For YBTV, I'm Brandon Cruz.
SAB held a preview for the upcoming Ashes and Arrows concert. Here's Reed Milliken with more.
Band Ashes and Arrows will be performing at Messiah Saturday the 25th. But before students' ears are treated to the titillating tonalities of the band, this past Wednesday a chance to preview some of the band's music.
Tonight we are playing music from the artist that will be here on campus for the concert in the Union, to kind of give campus a taste of music and give them a chance to see if they'd like it, if they'd want to come to the concert, or if they're coming out on Spotify or Apple Music.
Be sure to attend the free concert Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. in the Union. Messiah's own In Yellow opening. For YBTV, I'm Reed Milliken.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, but you can see the video on YouTube tomorrow with the full gist of what we have. The Senior Art Exhibition opened up on March 18th. Seniors across different concentrations have been hard at work for multiple semesters to put together these works of art. Food and drink were offered to those in attendance and encouraged to check out all the exhibits. The show will run until April 2nd.
And that brings you up to date on current Messiah news. Up next, we'll see Emma Dingus, Kelly Gainey, and much more.
Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with more Falcon Update live on YBTV. We're not.
My name is Curtis Seaman. I'm a senior journalism major. So my entire life, I've really enjoyed writing, really enjoyed sports. I thought that if I combined the two, sports journalism would be the perfect major for me. I feel very prepared for post-graduation with practicum. That's been a huge help. You have to participate in 3 different mediums of communication, media, throughout the class period. And to be able to do things like radio and television and writing has just kind of really helped to broaden my horizons. And in terms of writing, I'm also excited to use all of those skills that I've learned as well. Obviously, the professors here in the communication department are fantastic, and they really know how to get you to drill down and get you to write the best that you possibly can. In a senior sem, Dr. Dixon prays before every class, and a lot of other professors do that. To be able to pray in class, to be able to talk about faith-based things, it's just huge, and I really have appreciated that all 4 of my years here at Messiah. So right now I'm interning at WGAL 8 in Lancaster, which is just a TV station, NBC affiliate. The hours are a little rough. They're from 4 in the morning until noon, but that's also been a look ahead of what it's going to be like in my career in the future, so that's been also a good experience. For MC77, my sophomore year was the first year I did. I started on camera, moved to floor manager. I've done everything from camera to producing, executive producing, anchoring, VTR, audio. You can do pretty much any role. They're more than willing to give you the chance to make mistakes, but also to learn, because the time is now to make mistakes before you go out and are working for a real television station. MC77 has definitely given me a ton of great experience and prepared me for what's to come with that, and I'm excited to use that more within bigger TV stations and more live television day in and day out.
Welcome back to Falcon Update live on YBTV.
Exercising doesn't always have to be a solo activity. Group exercise is alive and well on campus. And for this week's Bird's Eye View, Emma Dingus takes a look at a group spin class in the Falcon Fitness Center. Emma?
I'm Emma Dingus, and for this week's Bird's Eye View, we're going to see what it's like to have your own spin class.
I would say you're cycling to the beat of the music, and so you want your moves to go along with the beat as much as possible. So I make my playlist and I listen to it and I see what moves we like to do. We have a select few that we do, and so you want the class to be different. You don't want to do the same thing the whole time, so you pick different moves for each song that go along with the beat so that you're coordinated.
Well, I think when you like take spin, it doesn't take long to like have fun with it. So I think it's like a really cool way to move your body, and it's like a motivating way to move your body because you don't really feel like you're working out, it's just like having a good time. And I think like the community that spin brings is really special, and so that always keeps me motivated to like keep teaching just because I love being with other people and working out with other people.
I really like more high intensity workouts, so I really enjoy that aspect of it, but I also enjoy that you can not do as high intensity. It really is a welcome all. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel like work because it's always a party, so it's really fun.
Well, that was a ton of fun. Next week, I have person from the crew from YBTV with me. Signing off for this week's Bird's Eye View, I'm Emma Dingus.
Wow, Emma, that really has my mind spinning. But you know who sets it straight? Josh McLeaf, when he delivers the Falcon Forecast. Josh?
Nate, Danny, that's great to hear. And we're actually heading straight into spring. Today is the spring equinox, so there's that whole thing where it's about, the same amount of sunlight on both sides of the world. But when we talk about spring, it kind of depends on who you ask. Meteorologists, they define spring, the start of spring as March 1st. The equinox, if you go by that, it's today, March 20th. So depending on who you ask, either way, we can say that it is officially springtime. And we're seeing that in our temperatures so far this March as well. So we'll take a look at the temperature right now. 43 right now on the campus of Messiah. We were in the 50s for the better part of the day today. So definitely a little bit warmer than we've seen these past couple of weeks. Then we will drop down into the 20s again tonight. So a little bit cooler in terms of that. But overall, we have some really nice temperatures coming up this week. So tomorrow we hit the 60s. We're back down in the 30s later in the day. But overall, we stay pretty warm for the rest of this week. 63 on Wednesday, only going down to the 40s on Wednesday. But here's the kicker. We do have some rain and precipitation that we see Thursday and Friday as well. Now, Thursday we do hit the 70s, which is nice. And these showers are mainly in the earlier part of the day, starting around 2, 3 p.m., possibly going till noon. You may see a few drizzling periods late Thursday night because that rain will start again Friday morning and pretty much carry out all day on Friday. Again, a little bit cooler on Friday as well, in the 50s, low 40s, and which is really just a shame because, there's this rain, all your plans outside are probably canceled, and I know what you're thinking, what could you possibly do Thursday and Friday when it's wet outside? I have no idea what, how could I forget? Into the Woods opens this week on Thursday, 8 p.m., Friday, 8 p.m., Saturday, 8 p.m., and Sunday at 3. Go get your tickets. It's a good show, narrated by yours truly. Shameless plug. I don't care if you're upset about this. It's awesome. Go see it. I want you to. You'll have a great time. Anyways, back to the weather. Saturday and Sunday, we see that rain continuing on Saturday, pretty much going through all day on Friday, continuing into Saturday morning as well. Kind of staying in that 50-degree range. And honestly, that's 50-degree temperatures is about our average this time of year. Our average for this time of year in March stays around 51 for the most part. So that's a little bit more of a consistent temperature. Those 60s and 70s that we see earlier in the week, that's really a treat. So this really isn't bad for this time of year. And then Sunday again, we see that kind of same 59 to 42 range, which is good. But that rain goes away. We're only cloudy. So overall, a nice start to spring. If you're going by the equinox, we have some really solid temperatures for this coming week. Just be wary of those showers that are coming for Friday, Saturday, not Sunday, but Thursday as well. So that's all for this week's Falcon Forecast. I'm Josh McLeaf, sending it back to the desk.
Wow, Nate, I never thought I would say it, but you're right. Josh McLeaf knows what he's talking about. Nate, why are you playing with gaff tape?
Oh, this? Kelly gave it to me during break and told me to arm myself.
Arm yourself for what?
Yeah, this week's vault is taking on duct tape wars. Take it away, Kelly.
What does tape, cardboard, and bagpipes have in common? They're the sounds of war.
This is what they mean by duct tape wars, and was instantly hooked onto this idea of duct tape wars. And freshman year, I was in Whitmer, so I was with the South Side. And I would say freshman year was the biggest year, which we had the most people, like on either side, fighting.
Student organizers brought the event to life every year with providing referees, medical attention on standby, and of course, a few rules.
You could have any weapon you wanted as long as you could take the hit from it.
It's said Duct Tape Wars began as early as 2003 and ran until 2018.
Thanks, Kelly, and a special thank you to all the alumni who contributed their memories and footage of this Messiah Classic.
Nate, what did you do over spring break?
I actually went down to the sunshine state of Florida. How about yourself?
I actually went to Times Square, New York City for the first time for a media convention.
Pretty awesome.
I went around campus asking Messiah students about their spring break. Hello everyone and welcome back to this week's Falcon on the Street, where I asked students what their favorite memory from spring break was.
Definitely spending time with friends and family and getting to see all my friends that I haven't seen in a while.
My favorite memory over spring break was certainly spending time with family, celebrating my grandfather's 81st birthday. You know, just hanging out with family, getting some work done, feeling that sense of accomplishment, and just having some time for myself. So yeah, it was great, and I certainly need a longer break because my brain is a little burnt, but hopefully I can get some momentum back, and hopefully everybody else has a great spring break. Had a great one. Thank you very much.
My favorite memory over spring break would probably be making chocolate Easter eggs with my roommate. That was really fun.
I would say my favorite memories from spring break was getting to start off spring break by calling the NCAA women's basketball tournament right here at Messiah, and then I wrapped up the week with a little bit of golfing with the fellas. It's hard to get much better than that.
My favorite memory from spring break was spending the day in New York City with my good friend Ella Murray, right over there. She's fantastic. We went to the Friends experience. It was very cool, very good time. Would recommend.
My favorite memory from spring break was going to New York with my pal Josh here, and we actually stopped at the Disney store, which is like an extra big Disney store in Times Square, and that was my favorite moment over spring break.
So my favorite memory from this past spring break, I had the opportunity to go to the Dominican Republic with the Agape Center for a service trip. So it was myself and 11 other students and chaperones, and we got to visit a community called La Mina, and we did a lot of relationship building, faith building within that community. So it was really amazing experience.
Thanks for tuning in for this week's edition of Falcon on the Street. For YBTV, I'm Danny Johnson.
Now it's time for Brandon Campus Calendar Cruise as he once again fills us in on what's happening around campus this week. Brandon?
Hello, Messiah University. I'm Brandon Cruz, and welcome to this week's edition of Campus Calendar. Let's take a look at some events happening around campus for the upcoming week. Tuesday in the Jordan Lounge, come out to celebrate Women's History Month at the SAB Women's History Ice Cream Social. The social starts at 6 p.m. Then on Thursday night from 5 to 6 p.m., the CPDC is hosting another Pizza with Professionals, this time hosting representatives from both the Milton Hershey School and the Catherine Hershey Schools for Early Learning. The event takes place in Parmer Cinema. Later on Thursday night, Messiah's production of the hit musical Into the Woods opens in Miller Theater. The show will run on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, as well as 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. All the shows start at 8 o'clock p.m., and tickets cost $10 for adults and $7 for Messiah students with valid ID. Tickets are also buy one, get one free for opening night. On Friday night in the Union, the African Student Union and the Caribbean Student Association are co-hosting the ASU x CSA Fusion Dance from 9 o'clock p.m. to midnight. The dance will showcase music from the different cultures. Lastly, on Saturday night, the band Ashes and Arrows will be hosting this year's concert in the Union. The concert starts at 7 o'clock p.m. with In Yellow as the opening act. And that is all for this week's edition of Campus Calendar, and I hope to see you all at some of these events later on this week. For YBTV, I'm Brandon Cruz.
Thanks, Brandon. Up next, we have sports with Caleb Kukin and Noah White.
We will be right back after the break.
Welcome back to Falcon Update. This is YBTV Sports. I'm Caleb Kukin.
And I'm Noah White, here to bring you the scores, highlights, and stories from this past week in Messiah sports.
Messiah men's tennis struggled against DeSales on Saturday, losing 3-6 to the Bulldogs. 3 wins came from doubles team Jonathan Baker and Carl Anderson, and 2 singles, Chase Wilson and Michael Niemi. The Falcons look to bounce back as they travel to the University of Scranton on Wednesday.
The Messiah women's tennis team looked impressive as they dominated DeSales 7-2. The Falcons had 2 doubles winners thanks to Konjak and Heckman, as well as Lee and Lentz. The other 5 wins came from singles victories by Konjak, Heckman, Walker, Lee, and Lentz. The team won't see the court again until next week when they face off against Penn State Harrisburg.
The softball team had a busy week on the road after 2 doubleheaders, the first being against Marymount, where they won both by a score of 5-3 and 4-1. The success didn't stop there as they faced off against conference foe Albright College. Both games ended before the 7th, but that didn't stop the Falcons from pouring on runs, as they took both from the Lions with scores of 10-0 and 8-0.
The Messiah Athletics Department is mourning the loss of Luke Drescher, Messiah's first athletic director. Drescher turned Messiah from a school with only intramural sports to a school with multiple intercollegiate sports. Along with setting the foundations for multiple programs here, he also coached men's soccer, men's basketball, women's basketball, track and field, cross country, and baseball.
Noah, his impact on the school is certainly significant, as his leadership years ago allow us to cover and enjoy many of the sports that we have on campus today.
One way we enjoy sports here is through the Falcon 4, where we highlight 4 of the best plays from Messiah sports during the past week. First, we start with the men's volleyball team, who were hungry for their 10th straight win as they faced off against the Kings Monarchs on the road. Matt Nabb sure helped his team with the historic day. Matt Nabb had a fantastic play here. This is one of 5 aces in the 3rd set against Kings College. And we look at this one again. Here's Matt Nabb with a beautiful ball right there. Defender could not get it and return it back, and that just happened to be Matt Nabb's 200th career ace. Matt Nabb, 6 years at Messiah, and he's become the 11th player in Division III history to have 200 career service aces, making this the 10th straight win for the Falcons even sweeter.
Women's lacrosse took a trip down to Virginia for the weekend to take on the captains of Christopher Newport, and Rachel Dellett had herself a career day. Haley Latinga finds Rachel Dellett here, and Dellett makes her way to the net, hits a little hezzy, fakes out the defender, and sends her home early for graduation as she nets that one to tie up the game. Dellett, look at this juke move by Dellett, and it looks like she catches a little bit of air here right there, and she still finds a way to flick it into the goal. The 11-8 victory over the captains is the team's 3rd straight as they move to an impressive 5-1 record. They'll be back in action on Wednesday as they host the Shenandoah Hornets.
Messiah Baseball hosted the Stevenson Mustangs at home on Friday. The Falcons had control of the game early, but the Mustangs stormed back. The Falcons went into the bottom of the 9th down 1. After a Joshua Ammons sac fly, the game was tied and Sam Zerker stepped up to the plate. Zerker to bat here for the Falcons with a 1-1 count and 1 out, and he crushes a deep drive to center field, and it's not going to matter. The runners look to tag up, but Zerker just completely nailed that ball out of the park. A Zerkulean slam for Zerker, and look at that one again. He's pointing to the dugout, and the team is going to storm the field as that ball had no chance of being caught for the Falcons, and a walk-off victory for Messiah. After this win, the Falcons faced off against Stevenson the next day, where they dropped both games of a doubleheader to the Mustangs. The Falcons look to bounce back against Dickinson Red Devils on Wednesday.
That's not the only game winner we have today, Noah, as the lacrosse team won in walk-off fashion, thanks to an overtime goal by Zach Drake. Aaron Shaw finds Zach Drake behind the net, and Drake able to get the corner, and Drake sends the Blue Jays back to the dorms. Drake only loves his bed and his mama, but obviously not the Blue Jays, as he ends this game in heroic fashion. That goal was Drake's third of the game, and with a 6-2 record through their first 8 games this season, it's the men's lacrosse team's best start to a season since 2011. Head coach Dan Carson, entering his second season with Messiah, added a new graduate assistant coach, Drake Porter, to the team. Porter not only brings D1 level experience to the team, but professional lacrosse experience as well. PJ Rydell sat down with Coach Porter to talk to him about his role as a coach here in Grantham.
You're looking at Drake Porter, the 24-year-old out of Syracuse, somebody that has good character and a great teammate, and that's exactly what they have in number 34 in blue.
And now, that's Messiah Men's Lacrosse's defensive coordinator following a dream career at Syracuse.
I was on cloud 9 when I got the offer. It was almost like the dream sort of never stopped.
Porter brings a new level of confidence from the Orange to the sidelines here in Grantham.
I think the biggest difference when I came in was every one of the players on my team, top to bottom, starter to last guy on the bench, they had crazy confidence. And I think that's something I've been able to bring in is like, you know, hey, you guys are really good. Like, it's okay to think that you're good and to have that confidence, and something we've been trying to instill in the guys.
As for that confidence, well, it looks to be working pretty well so far. But coaching isn't the only thing on Porter's to-do list.
Hands off for a long one, but Drake Porter, big time save once again!
As he recently debuted in the Premier Lacrosse League. And while playing professional lacrosse and working on his graduate degree at Messiah, he remains focused on building up the men's lacrosse program.
It's like an untapped gold mine because I'm looking at all these other sports and the community that they've been able to build. And I was like, hey, I think there's something here. I think Coach Carson's the right guy. And if I can get in now and be a part of it, like I could be getting in on the ground floor of something big come, you know, by the time I finish my master's, I think this program's going to be better than when I showed up.
The potential on the roster, combined with the faith community, has Porter optimistic about the road ahead.
There aren't a lot of faith-based programs. So it's been really kind of cool to be in a community where, you know, not only is it okay to, you know, dive into your faith, but it's encouraged. So it's something my family is really excited about, and I've been really excited about it since I got here.
For YBTV, I'm PJ Rydell.
Thanks, PJ. The men's lacrosse team sure is rolling this year, as we're excited to see and keep watching Coach Porter and this team impress on the turf.
Well, that does it for YBTV Sports. Thank you for watching Falcon Update, but don't go anywhere because Beyond the Breaches and YB Tonight are coming up next.
Soul and improve our well-being, cleaning the water we need, the air we breathe, and making our climate livable. Fires and natural disasters devastate our forests each year. That's why the Arbor Day Foundation is working to replant millions of trees across the country. Visit arborday.org and see how you can help.
Hi, I'm Todd File, and here's a quick Devo on John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. John, the apostle, is writing this, and when he uses the word for at the beginning, he's referring actually to 2 verses beforehand, where Jesus, talking to Nicodemus, compares himself to a serpent being lifted up in the desert. And what he means by this is actually a reference to Numbers 21. Israel is facing a plague of venomous snakes, and to alleviate these venomous snakes, God tells Moses to put a bronze snake on a pole up in the middle of the camp. And when anyone in Israel looks at this snake, they will be healed from the venom that is coursing through their bodies. The same thing is true of when we look to Jesus for our salvation. When we say yes to Jesus, we are healed of the venomous sin that goes in and out of our bodies. One other quick thing here. For God so loved the world. That word in Greek for world is cosmos, as in the universe. But even more than that, it means a harmoniously ordered world. So God sent his only Son to restore order in this world. That's how much he loves us. He is willing to sacrifice his only beloved Son to restore order, to bring us back into a relationship with him. How sweet is that? Beloved, live in the confidence of that today.
And good evening. Welcome back to YB Tonight Live. I'm your host, Paul Callender. Tonight, we'll have a special feature on Professor Tara Whitehead, who just released her new book called They More Than Burned. After that, we'll have a performance by Taya Paris. She'll be playing the drums a little bit better than me, but before that, we'll go to this week's Beyond the Breaches.
Hello, and welcome back to Beyond the Breaches. This week, we're taking a trip to the Carlisle Sports Emporium to talk to Jamie Plasterer, an alumni of Messiah University. Let's go check it out.
My name is Jamie Plasterer. I went to school for elementary education, but I am now the Director of Corporate and Group Events here at the Carlisle Sports Emporium and the Barnet Creeks Band.
This alumni did not originally have Messiah on her radar, and by chance happened to stop by the campus.
The young man who really wasn't someone that showed people around the campus gave us a tour, and he was just very down to earth. He had an earring back in the 80s that was very different, and it just made me feel like I could be myself at Messiah.
Through a random roommate assignment, Plasterer gained a friendship that would last all 4 years of college.
She was someone that just lived the right way, if you want to say that, but it was her example that always kind of made me want to continue to be a Christian, because she did it very quietly. She never said, "Oh, Jamie, you should be doing your devotions." She just did hers.
Through the friendships formed and the freedom to express herself at Messiah, Plasterer was encouraged to grow in a relationship with God.
It just was a great place to be at one time when the Lord just took hold of me and said, "You need to change some of your ways." I had a very good rebirth of my faith at Messiah, so I'm very thankful for that.
Despite pursuing a degree in education, Plasterer went on to run multiple businesses with her husband, including a garbage truck business, running a motel in Hershey, a mobile home park in Chambersburg, as well as running apartment complexes. During the last 30 years, the couple has also been running the Carlisle Sports Emporium local to Messiah University.
We pray for all of our employees. We worry about them because we have some younger kids, we have some adults, but we're constantly trying to cover them in prayer and cover the business in prayer.
All right, well, that's all for this week's Beyond the Breaches. For YBTV, I'm Jessica Fannin.
Yes. Oh, hi. I suppose you're wondering what an A-list celebrity like me is doing in a place like this. You must know, I'm saving the world. Oh, hi, Beth. Yep, saving the world again. Did you know that 40% of all the food produced in the United States is thrown away? That means everything that went into that food, the pesticides, the water, the land, was all for nothing. Just look at this perfectly good food thrown in the trash. The pizza with extra Cheerios, these goldfish and Band-Aid tacos. And just look at this perfect trash burger. This pasta dog looks delicious.
You don't have to dumpster dive like Ed Begley Jr. to save the planet. Fight food waste by shopping smart and using what you buy before it gets trashed.
That's way better. Ooh, arugula.
Do your part and find out other world-saving tips at betterthaned.org.
Hi there, and welcome back to YB Tonight. I'm Paul Callender here with Professor Tara Whitehead, here to talk about her very own book. Right here we have it in front of us. It's called They More Than Burned. So can see here. So that was a custom cover, I suppose.
Yeah, my twin brother, actually, I commissioned him to do it instead of the in-house cover designer at ELJ.
Nice, yeah, I like it. So it's a family business a little bit. So I guess we'll start off. So immediately, like I guess it was day one, right? Your book immediately was on back order. How, like, what kind of feelings did that elicit?
Yeah, so this has been kind of a crazy 6 months because I put out a book in September and I've been trying to give it some time and some love, and I've been doing events for it. And I didn't feel like I was doing as much promotion for They More Than Burned. And so when the publisher contacted me and said, hey, we have to go into a second printing, which was a couple weeks before the book came out, I was like, whoa, this is so exciting. And then I think it was the day that it came out, it went on back order. So it was at Barnes & Noble, it was on their online, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org, Powell's, which is a huge bookstore in Oregon, and trying to think, Midtown Scholar here has some signed copies, but so yeah, so it should be on Tuesday. They'll be getting that second printing at the Berkeley warehouse for small press distribution. So the feelings are, I mean, I'm getting emails from people who've already read the book in its entirety in a single setting and sitting, and I don't know, it feels good, obviously. A little overwhelming, but good, because people are contacting me and saying like, hey, can I get a copy of it? And I'm almost out of all of my personal copies, so.
Yeah, I've seen the Amazon reviews, nothing but good things, so, because that's where I got mine. So, but so, you know, I guess overall, I think it seems like some of the themes of the book, I guess there's like, it was very archival, like going back and figuring out like, or pulling stuff out from like I guess the book said it was like papers and stuff. What was the process of like recalling all that stuff and then, you know, spitting it back out and putting it into the book?
Yeah, so just for folks at home, the book is about a documentarian who discovers footage that she filmed right after 9/11. And she discovers it 20 years later after going through an entire Hollywood career and getting married and having kids. And so she makes she takes all of the footage and she makes a documentary out of it that goes to Tribeca, and then the studios go to buy it. And that's kind of where the book starts, is she's in the studios and the studio heads are like trying to make it bigger. And so a lot of it's based on personal experience. I did film after 9/11, my friends and their reactions. Our friend who ended up going, who had enlisted in the military a week before, his name's in the book, Joe. But I actually, when I was under contract with Unsolicited Press for the Year of the Monster, I put out a chapbook called Blood Histories, which is a shorter book. It was a concept album, kind of, was what my publisher had decided. And I was under contract with that, and I had all these other pieces, like these the prose pieces that are in there, not the screenplay pieces. And I was trying to figure out what they were, and I did. I rediscovered it was the pandemic, and I was just kind of like digging through my desk and finding all of these photos and notes, and then suddenly I was like digging through the archives of all of my like high school notes and yearbooks and stuff that my dad had saved for me to take with me. And I started realizing that the pieces that I had written, these short prose pieces, were a part of something larger. So those archive pieces started first, and then because I'm a hybrid writer who works in screenplay format, I realized that like this was like the archive footage for a film. And so that's when it just started, you know, it started building from there. And I was actually already under contract with ELJ Editions to expand what I had started with. So yeah, so I was just dealing with a lot of the past. You know, I don't know if kids even like fold notes like in origami style anymore or anything like that, but that's what I had, just boxes of it. So I was trying to create a narrative out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really came together, and I can tell it was sort of like you pulled some stuff from here and there, and it really sort of all came together. And I can't say I've ever folded anything origami and written in notes. I don't know how to do the crane, but
you don't like you never physically wrote notes Nobody ever wrote notes in
I
high
might- I
school
might
and
have,
just
like,
like
folded it in
folded them and
half,
fun.
but
We used to do
yeah.
like little ninja stars
Oh,
and
wow.
hearts and yeah, and we would
That's
do
awesome.
origami cranes too, but
Yeah, I'm sure those were really cool, kind of like finding all that. So
with all the different like
Mhm.
gel pen colors, and we used to put quotes around
Yeah.
the edges of all of our favorite musicians and band lyrics.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess you sort of touched on it a little bit, but it's your inspiration, I guess, to write it sort of in the, I guess, sort of the framing aspect of this was that it was written sort of partially as a screenplay. What was sort of the inspiration for that?
Yeah, so my book that I put out in September, The Year of the Monster, plays with screenplay format. And for me, the content dictates the form. And so with this book, when I recognized that the prose pieces that I had written were kind of like footage, I immediately thought, oh, I'm going to create the frame here, as you said, like the POV from a script format, because in screenplay we write in third-person objective. In third-person objective, you don't get insight into the characters. And I thought that in order to document this documentarian's experience, I wanted to have the most objective perspective as possible. So I could play with humor, I could play with irony, and it kind of detaches from the character and we become aware of the artifice of the script format. So I was playing with a lot of different ways that the reader could interpret their experience of what's going on in the screenplay, because the whole story about the documentarian is told in screenplay, and that's the dominant braid. It's what we call a braided narrative. So you have multiple storylines and they're being braided together and they come together at the end. And so with me, again, I'm critiquing the film industry here. I'm critiquing Hollywood. I'm critiquing sort of like this fetishization of Hollywood and what it can do for your career and for your art, and the idea that making the art and selling the art are exclusive, and they're not. So that's where I had to use the screenplay format because the content was demanding that.
Yeah, and you kind of almost get like a sort of bird's eye view, I'd imagine, of the whole thing when you write it as that. So I think that was really, interesting to see how that worked out when I read it. So, and the one line that I found rather interesting, this was, I believe, from where I guess sort of the book was in sort of the screenplay format, was the line, trauma is an investment, it gives you range, and that was spoken by one of the producers. So what was like sort of your inspiration for that line particularly?
Yeah, so that line comes in the film treatment segment, which is the book starts with a flash fiction piece called Drive that introduces the space that the documentary ends up inhabiting, and then the film treatment, which a film treatment is a summary of a film. It gives like a line-by-line play of the scenes, but in this case, I put it in the second person. And in the treatment, it goes through the first 2 acts of the character's life, and then we get dropped into the third act. And so she, in that, even though it's in the second person, is talking about how the producers and the people in Hollywood say trauma is an investment, it gives you range. And a lot of like my MO in Subversion is to, and in like we had talked before, like teaching here at Messiah, one of my goals is to subvert that Hollywood trope that you need to be tough, you need to take the abuse is normalized in the industry at the level of actors, yes, but also producers, writers, anyone behind the scenes. So that's sort of like my little nod to the Me Too movement, which I write about a lot, in that it is this normalized violence of how we should, you take the, I mean, it happened when I left Hollywood. That was one of the things after my experiences with Me Too. What some of the female producers had said was, you're supposed to just take it. Like they didn't even accept the fact that I had been harmed and that was why I had left. But they said, that's what you do, is you take it. So it wasn't just the men, it was the women. And so I write that tongue in cheek in there, like they'll tell you that, trauma is an investment, but it's not. And it's not at the end of the book.
Yeah, and I guess, I'm sure you probably have a lot of people who are really eager to come there, and then it's just like, yeah, I'll take it because I really want this job. So I'm sure that's that really another thing that sort of very much, I think, came through in your experience, we can tell from this book. So, so we talked about it earlier, but for people interested, so where can we find They More Than Burned?
So right now you can find it at Amazon, and there are signed copies at Midtown Scholar. And as of Tuesday, Berkeley, California, the distribution for all of the bookstores, any bookstore you want to order from, you'll be able to order from Tuesday. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess if anyone is interested in buying They More Than Burned, you can find it all those places. Again, this is Professor Tara Whitehead. Thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit about your book. So yeah, it's always cool seeing what the Messiah Common Department professors are up to. So hey, we'll be back after this break. Take care. And we're back to another episode of YB's Tonight. I'm Paul Callender here with Taya Paris. Tara, do your thing. Well, I have nothing else I can say. We'll just have to talk after the break. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Well, we're here back to YB tonight. I'm sitting here with Taya Paris again. So we'll start off, playing the drum kit is a lot of multitasking, as I'm sure we all saw there. How do you get good at something like that?
Practice, I guess.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, how long did that take you to practice that?
The song?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I just sat down and I listened to it a few times. I got to play it. And it was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll tell you this: is I've played drums and all throughout like 5th grade to 12th grade. So I know like ever so slightly enough about the drums,
Yeah.
but I never got good at kit. So really, it's admirable that you're able to just like pick that up and just hear it. So. And the one thing I guess we heard a lot of in this, it's very much like a sort of like, I guess you can say sort of a funkier song.
Sure, yeah.
And there's a lot of polyrhythms I noticed. Can you sort of like demonstrate like what a polyrhythm looks like?
Sure. So a polyrhythm would be the note that is fitting within a 4. If we're in 4/4, it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 would be a triplet. So it'd be 2, 3, 4. So then a polyrhythm would be playing both of those in 4/4. So it'd be just that's the same. That's
Yeah, no, that was cool, definitely. Yeah, you got like sort of the triplets going, and sort of you're kind of filling in the space in between, I guess is what I've heard people say it as. And so, picking up an instrument like the drum kit, what are some of your influences?
Definitely jazz would be a big influence. Started actually playing the kit mostly for jazz band, and then of course worship music, gospel, funk. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was very much like a funk song, I guess. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Taya, explain to the audience, do you play anywhere live, maybe on this campus?
I sometimes play at chapel or play at Powerhouse or what's the thing called? Coffee House? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll play there some, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we've, I guess sort of like the drum is sometimes like the loudest thing in the room whenever I go to chapel. It's just very hard, especially in Brubaker, to like, hone it in a little bit. I mean, you can build like a cage or whatever, but it really, I mean, it's great. So,
Yeah.
and it really adds, sort of character to it. So I guess, so when you practice, are you usually practicing by yourself, I guess, or do you ever like get like a band together, or?
I think if I'm practicing like a song, I really need to learn it by myself first, because there's like hard licks that I can only need to practice by myself. I'll practice by myself, and then I'll get together with the band and practice it all together, because it always gets disjointed when you add like other people and stuff.
Yeah, no, really, because then it's like, because then you're trying to lay down the rhythm, and the bass player's just all off.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Speaking as a bassist. So,
Oh, okay, yeah.
But, so the one question, the burning question that we figured we would ask, have you seen the movie Whiplash?
I have.
Okay, so you said you have a little experience in jazz, and so does
Yeah.
Miles Teller. So what kind of like, how accurate was that to like an actual, to the actual experience of like being a drummer?
The movie Whiplash?
Yeah.
I will tell you, there's really not any bleeding. And you really don't play until you're like sweating and can't breathe anymore. You're gonna get carpal tunnel and then you're out in like a year. So it's just actually, most of practice is just sitting there going like, and working on technique. And like that takes like 30 minutes. And then you do like practice your fills, and then you practice songs that you're working on. So it's like mostly pretty boring, and it's not just like sweating and everything. But I would say that it's accurate in like how you feel as a drummer. Like it just feels so epic, and you're just like controlling everything, and just like everything's moving at once. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels nice when you get everything in its right place, sort of.
Yeah.
Because it is like what we said, it's like multitasking. You're playing multiple instruments at once, and me in concert band in 7th grade will only be playing like the cymbal or something as you go on like one hit.
Yeah.
But you bring up a good point though. Is a lot of practice, I'm sure, is just getting rhythm. Like, I mean, how do you get like, I guess, how do you get sort of a rhythm of just feeling like, I know how fast or how slow I need to go?
You just put on the metronome, and then you like subdivide. So like something that has a lot of moving parts would be like Latin music. So my feet are doing something completely different from, and then each hand is doing something completely different. So like my feet would be going,
Nice. Okay. Sort of a bossa nova beat almost. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, no, it's really kind of you're trying to feel out like the 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, but then you're also trying to do all that. So that's really impressive. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Is there anything else you feel like we should know, either about drumming or about where we can find you, maybe?
I don't know. I think the drums are cool. Learn if you want to.
Spoken like a true drummer. Cool. Well, hey, that's all we have for this week's episode of YB Tonight. Just want to say thanks again, Taya, for coming along and playing some drums for us. So tune in next Monday at 7 o'clock for more. And on behalf of myself and the entire YBTV crew, have an amazing week.